Madam Chair, I have 6 p.m.
Call the meeting of the Citizen Advisory Committee to order at 6 o'clock. Before I turn the roll over to you, Madam Clerk, I would just like to tell everybody Happy New Year.
Yes, Happy New Year.
Glad you all made it. And Member Fisher is
Excused.
So with that, if you would go ahead and take roll, that would be great.
CAC member Paul Lancaster. Craig Holmes. Ben Glassman. Dean Fisher is excused. Dicky Fernandez. Rosemarie Chora. Xerxes Kalila. Cindy Brenneman. Jeff Arbor. Vice Chair Michael Toe. Chair Sue Lester. Thank you.
Public comments, we have anybody out there in space who's willing to say something else? Anybody here?
I see no hands raised.
Seeing nobody interested in public comments, we'll go ahead and close public comment. Marching right along to the Citizen Advisory Committee meeting minutes from November 13th, 2024. Hopefully everybody had a chance to read those over, check them out. Do I have a motion to do something? Motion to accept. Motion to approve, Member Brennan?
Second.
Second, Mr. Lancaster? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstentions for any reason? You weren't here, yeah, they're gonna. Okay, great. Next item, door-to-door hazardous, household hazardous waste collection program report.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Happy New Year to yours. I'm going to turn the panel over to North Coretta, our senior manager, Alice, who can give this report.
Good evening, Chair and committee members. So this item that we're looking at now is on the household hazardous waste or HHW door-to-door collection program. We're looking at data from fiscal year 2018-19 through 2023-24. So with this program, district customers may request up to 3 HHW pickups per calendar year. That is for items such as e-waste, household foods and paints, darts, and other items that cannot be placed into the regular landfill cart. Each request is allowed up to 15 gallons, so 125 pounds of HHW. The report before you includes both the number of requests completed as well as pounds collected. So for this last fiscal year 23-24, 804 requests were completed. 510 of those were for electronic waste. The other 294 were for other HHW items. This is similar to the numbers that we saw for the previous fiscal year. In 23-24, these pickups were typically completed within 1 week, and we received minimal complaints with this program. This concludes my report. Looks like we're having some technical difficulties with the report data on the screen, but if you have any questions, I'm happy to answer.
I just have a question about the sharps. I know obviously those can be picked up. But is there anywhere designated in the city other than Walgreens where somebody can return sharps? Because I've popped in a few places and unfortunately I have a lot of them from my mom from like years where she didn't turn them in. So somebody, I don't know, they probably think I'm a pharmacist or something, which is why nobody will take them from me. But I was just wondering, like, is under SB 1383, like, is there any, do cities have to designate a place where people can actually return that kind of stuff, where it has to be taken?
I don't think the city has any sort of requirement, but the county programs do take sharps. So there are drop-off locations, they're not in the city.
Okay, so it's just be like OC recycle.
You can take it to their HHW facility.
So you're gonna go deeper down. Try to get rid of the countries and that. cylinder issue, when trying to move that motor, it was nearly impossible. I finally was able to, drop it off at, I forget the number I called, I'll give it to you after, but it's nearly impossible to find a place. It's supposed to be, the law says any pharmacy that sells them has to take them.
Yeah, it's
But
not,
it's not-
but
it's
yeah,
not- it's not
it's,
good.
it's not like that.
Yeah.
At all, which is kind of crazy, because. I'm hoarding them because that's what it's, I am too,
Okay.
I haven't called you guys, would love to see that you guys will pick them up. But I'm just bringing it up because I'm more concerned about people just chucking them in the trash.
There are mail-back programs also that are free of charge. I believe Med Project is one of them, but there's new legislation that implemented these free mail-back programs, so that is an option as well for medication and for parts.
Okay.
Our program will pick up and then the county does have other drop applications, but if you have a large quantity, I would recommend just talking to the county, letting them know that, you know, you're not the business and the situation, and see if they're able to accommodate, if you don't want to use the door to open.
Okay, fair enough. Anybody else have any questions, comments?
Just real quick, I would be curious after the fact, unless you had that off the top of your head. Of the requests completed in the chart, so 24, the 604, how many were unique addresses versus, you know, how many might have been multiple, up to 3, right, per address? How many were you?
That is a good question. I don't know if Mike has an answer to that tonight. If not, I can put that in the room.
I don't know if, I do know that we have multiple requests from addresses, we can't sort that data.
Just generally interested in, what the demand is from maybe a smaller group, utilizing that service, so,
We have more repeat,
yeah.
bulky item requests than we do repeat HA7 requests.
And then the last question, I mentioned it to, start before, but, is there certain benefit or capacity to hosting in a one-time or a couple of times, you know, cycle-time event where residents could come out and drop off those items to a location, but then it's brought to the facility?
I know that there are strict requirements, and I think it's a lot more labor intensive, the requirements to have a drop-off program. So it's something we'd have to look into, but I know that the requirements are pretty heavy on the drop-off.
Thank you.
That's a couple thoughts, first, is it done? I'm scared, as a landfill operator, I'm super, I like the house space programs that keeps the stuff that shouldn't be in the landfill out, with things that do better, cause fires, which are problematic. I was curious, you know, say at the start of 18, what triggers the start of this program?
So I don't know if anyone has the history, I just know that it was available
Yes.
only to ADA customers initially, and
Okay.
then based on the need,
The
the
demand?
district decided to expand it, but.
Based on my experience from working in other organizations, it seemed that it was very successful, especially when we originally implemented the program with seniors. Based on my experience from my past organizations, what I found Lures, they would have this material in the garage and they had no way of removing it, so this was a great convenient way for that. And so when we kicked off the program, it was strictly just for the seniors and disabled, but then let's expand to all the residents. And I don't see the numbers so we're coming up, so it's very, very convenient. Like for me, I live in Orange, so I gotta drive over to Anaheim and drop off my done. So this is a great convenience for our residents, and definitely, people are much trying to advertise. So
Definitely not. One observation I thought was interesting, based on the math, just looking at number of requesters for so many pounds. I would say an average 104 pounds per customer, and if the county HHW is just 4, around the county, the average customer dropped off 20 pounds. So it's it must be maybe people have big heavy TVs or something like that, that's why they're like, hey, come pick it up, so I don't have to drive. Just interesting. Yeah.
Now, because TVs aren't even really heavy anymore.
I know, that's a good point. That's a lot of weight per customer, you know, competitive. And maybe paint, is paint part of it? Yeah, so paint could be.
Yeah, cause I mean, I think it's a great program, and honestly, the only reason why I'm called, is I have so many sharps. And so many tweakers and what's on my street, like, I don't wanna leave them out there. But, which is why I was just gonna drop them off somewhere,
Emphasis risks, never had.
but. I know. Okay, anybody else? Think we're good, thank you very much, both of you. Next item, receive and file report on the three-part rollout program. I'm sure that we're gonna have some
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. So,
presentation,
well, nothing, just,
comments and questions.
yes, so I'll be by now, you should all have your blue cards right now. I hope you do. We are now implementing our source separation collection program, where recyclables, green waste, blue waste, and trash have to be separated in 3 separate carts. And again, I want to commend CRR for doing a fantastic job. December 13th was the last day of rolling out the third cart today, where CNI successfully rolled out over 23,000 new carts. And we did receive some complaints. We received a total of 166 complaints, which is significant, but if you look at the big picture, less than 1%, right? It's 23,000. So, but we still did, but the good news when we did get those complaints, and majority of them was maybe a wrong size cart, or sometimes they actually remove a cart and replace with any carts, and don't have to throw the trash away. But once we learned about the issue, the report to CNR, they knew to chunk out another very, very efficient in the beginning as well. So, so I think, you know, for the amount of logistics and the outreach that was taken, that's put in place for this program, I think it was very successful. And again, I want to commend my staff for all the outreach effort they did, and for CRNR for rolling out the program. Very, very well done. So happy to answer the questions you can have.
Who would like to start? Anyone have questions, comments about the three-part system?
No, I'll say something. Turn this on?
Yeah, it was a very light area.
So, I was talking with my neighbors and they were all upset. They didn't like it at all. I said, how are you going about separating your stuff? Cause I was trying to figure out, like we all were, what comes out of the kitchen and what, it's a bit confused. He tells, I'm not gonna do that. I don't care, we're just gonna throw it all in the same place, blah, blah, blah. You know, take it easy, give it a try, then she wouldn't hear it. And, yeah, so. I think the neighbors around my zone are kind of that way, and it is a bit confusing because, you know, like you have your. Pet food cans, but if they have to be washed out, or if you have paper that's a little bit soiled, because they go in the green. And then you want to put your food waste in the green bin. And I thought that was for for your garden. So now you're gonna have green waste, trees and stuff mixed in with food garbage, but is that how it works?
Yeah, I'm saying all that is taken together, all that green waste, food scrap is taken to an anaerobic digestion facility.
Okay,
Or converted to renewable natural gas.
okay,
So that's perfectly fine.
That was-
I don't throw paper, it's a little confusing, and so I
Yeah.
looked at a lot of effort here, please don't worry about it. I mean, it's not gonna break the bank, put it that way, you know, so,
Yeah.
but I mean, the other stuff, it's very easy, like, glass.
but have you got those kind of complaints? A lot of people are, it's kind of pushing back.
I think people in general are resistant to change, and it doesn't matter what it is, it's a human nature response, and there's always gonna be somebody pissed off or irritated or doesn't understand, or it's always been this way, why do we have to change? I mean,
Yeah,
I think that's just kind of the world we live in, but I know like for my neighborhood, the people that were, kind of irritated about it, and said, it's not even really a green waste can, it's organics. It's all organics,
Okay.
which includes green waste and includes food, and then once you explain to them that that is then turned into methane gas and used to power the trucks, a lot of people are like, oh, okay, I didn't know that, and it wins a lot of people over, and some people still aren't gonna care, or think that it's a hoax, or, you just do the best you can.
Yeah.
I just know that if and when it gets to a point where people start getting excited, people are gonna get excited, they're not gonna like it.
Yeah, that's all I say, hey, I'm doing it.
yeah, yeah.
Please.
I don't know,
It just takes some practice. It really
I
does.
just kind of let it talk and kind of move away, I'm not gonna argue with it.
Does anybody have any questions, comments?
I would say that the rollout went really well. I was in my neighborhood and I saw it happen. As I was walking my dog, and I heard they did really well, and I even had the opportunity to chat with the contractor as they were, not really chat, talk to them, how do I get rid of one of my medical records. They were super helpful, and it was seamless. I was waiting for something to go wrong, because how could it not, but it didn't. It went really well. I guess for me, I would want to see more education and outreach. Cause I've been using my family as a guinea pig for a while, even before we got our carts, trying to get them to separate out their recyclables and. It's taken them a while, and now I'm getting them, hey, we have 50 films from hard plastic, or. Somebody got really upset, like, I'm not washing this out, I'm just gonna throw it away if I have to wash it out, so just literally like leading them through this process so that they're sorting properly, but, not everybody has that person who's gonna make them sort properly, but I do think like messages that they're receiving either in a newsletter or on social media, even if it's just about like, some toilet paper towel, we're done with that though. Or if I had a microwavable meal, right? What happens with the flimsy plastic versus the hard plastic or the remnants of the foods that are left over that I think a lot of people wouldn't think about. They'll just take that one whole item and make a decision. They'll say the whole thing goes in landfill, or the whole thing is recyclable, or maybe it could go in the green bin, I don't know. But to really keep doing that, because I think that once people get their carts on day one, they're gonna be expert sorters. And I've seen that some programs, it takes years for those programs to mature to people understand how to properly sort, so just providing that information. And continually just put that information out there will help us.
Great, good point, yeah.
The other thing too, and I think Mike, you can clarify this, it was somebody from CRNR that told us, because I didn't know this until right before the program rolled out, is that if, a can would go and recycle. The technology is better now, where if there's still food left in the can, it can still be thrown in recycle and it won't foul the whole cart like it used to. And it was, I apologize, I don't remember her name, but it was somebody from CRNR that was here that said, in a perfect world, yeah, we would want everybody to rent stuff out, but the technology equipment that's being used now doesn't prohibit that cart from being recycled if it ends up with stuff on the can that gets thrown in there. Is that
Correct.
correct?
The residual would not make a difference, as opposed to, say, half a jar of peanut butter, we wouldn't want that, but. The residual waste would get removed during the process, the recycling process.
And I think that's a fun, helpful fact that might encourage some more people to jump on board because
Yeah.
people look at having to rinse everything out and extremely
I can have one more one.
or
You
take
can
a
come
look or
back.
scrape it out. I mean, it's,
It's too strong, I do it.
It's- I do too, it's, yeah. Does anybody else have any questions, comments about the?
Remind me, what was done prior to the new card system? How was it sorted? Was it sorted or was it just all in?
It was sorted not at your house, but at a center.
Oh, it's still sorted.
At a MERC, right?
Yeah, so it was still recyclable, so the recyclables like the glass, the plastic, the trash card. And the trash and all the recyclables goes to a material recovery facility.
Okay.
And it's separated there.
Oh,
And then each commodity is separated and they don't ship out to the markets. So it was done, but the problem was with that, you get contamination, right? So now you have more dirty recyclables that weren't being recycled. For separation, in theory, can help reduce contamination, therefore can help increase the volume of recyclables that are collected.
yeah.
Well, because the cost is going up in the landfill and the filling up,
Yeah, that's true.
it would be cost prohibitive to keep paying somebody to sort it, because pretty soon there won't be people around here that will sort it anymore, and it has to be trucked somewhere. Which I think factors in, there's a kind of a lot of factors, but the organic scans have been in place now for years.
We were the first organization in Southern California to implement organic recycling. We did it in 2015. We've been doing it for almost 10 years. So, yeah, we were way ahead. And we did that because we were the first agency to jump off the cliff to do that, we're guaranteed the lowest rate. And so with CRNR, when they negotiate with other haulers or other agencies, and by chance someone be able to negotiate a meeting and they were getting lower rate, and they got on that rate for us.
And this was like just the history of it, it was all kind of in from like the state. Mandates and stuff.
Yes,
that, right?
as a 13-3,
Yeah.
in this board, saw a vision that was gonna be approved, that was gonna be adopted one day. So they wanted to take advantage of the technology now, or I'm sorry, back then. Because right now, I think if this starts off $130 a ton, for 8 weeks, we got it, we're gonna like $85. So it's awesome, yeah.
Well, the only comment I have is just for people that we know, it's actually surprising how much you can put in recycling versus a landfill, you know, and that being less than landfill. Which it's.
And so the next step of that was, so my vision is presenting the CSD and more of it is to, broaden rates. So if you can dispose less trash, in theory, you should be paying less, right? So that's the next step. So if you're experiencing, hey, look, I have a 65-gallon cart, I don't need that stuff, I'm recycle. I'm gonna get a 30-gallon cart,
Yeah.
I won't take money. So that's the next step.
That's good.
Yeah.
I'm just curious, if I can see everything, talking about that, ever since I've been on the CAC, which has been since a long time, gosh. And people who generate more trash should pay more than the little old lady down the street that has like a little shopping bag that, you know.
I got another question, right up that topic. My neighbors were thinking that, well, they get charged, what is it, $10 a month per cart? They weren't real clear about, was it an annual fee or was it monthly, and they were trying to tell me, oh no. So if I have the cart back and I got a new one, I'm gonna get charged $10 a month every month for that cart. I said, I don't know if that's.
Wait, I'm sure if they have an extra cart, if they have right now,
$9.
everyone gets a third cart, if they have a fourth cart,
That was kept.
yeah, that fourth cart is gonna be the additional $9, $10 a month.
It is.
If it's a land waste cart.
Yeah.
If it's.
See, now
a
that happened to
second-
me, because I was sick today, they changed the cart, I couldn't get out there. So then I ended up, I got the new ones. And I still have one more card. That it was from the old one.
Just call CRNR and say,
So I think it,
cart,
I charge
no,
you
just call
right
CRNR
now.
and say that you need the cart picked up.
Yeah.
Because you have an extra one and you don't need it.
Right, but that's gonna be charged if I keep it.
Yes,
Yes.
it's $9 a month per cart.
It isn't everyone.
Yes, it's $9 a month carton,
But only if it's landfill.
only if it's landfill, because if it's an extra,
Level organics too, you get an extra, so if you have 2 organic carts, you get a third organic cart, that are third organic carts, you charge too.
right, but I think most people, a lot of people just have one organic cart. So if somebody has, if somebody needs another organics cart, they can get an organics cart at no charge if they have a huge
Gotcha.
yard, but a second landfill cart you get charged for.
Okay.
And when all the carts were being dropped off, there was a lot going on, and CRNR did a great job, but they, like in my neighborhood where I live, on like this little weird street. They didn't make it back to pick up all of our carts, so we had, well, holy cow, we had a lot, we had brand new ones and then we had old ones. And we called them and they came out and they got them, and some of the neighbors kept them. And I told them, you're gonna get charged, do you really want it? No, I know, turn it in, and so they called and CRNR picked it up and it's no problem. They'll adjust it, if you call and say you didn't understand, you don't have a cart, I please want it picked up and you'll be good.
That's good to know, I got it, and thank you.
The complaint for CRNR is the timing, like knowing when the trucks.
That too.
Cause I feel like the cycle comes on Wednesday at like noon or afternoon. For us, Friday is landfill, and then morning.
It should be all-
They should all be the
Same day.
same.
Sunday,
This might be a discussion for the next item,
the performance.
Oh, sorry.
We can have a whole big discussion on that. But before we go, what you were saying, Sue, about paying for what you're disposing of and right sizing your carts, I think is very valuable, but then also the rates, I think, should reflect what you're putting out in your curb, that landfill carts should be more expensive, organics and recycling would be less expensive. So that as a consumer, when I'm looking at buying a cucumber that's wrapped in flimsy plastic, I'm thinking twice about it. Not only is it bad for the environment, but it's helping me incur greater costs that I'm filling up that landfill cart that's going to the landfill.
Just last thought. Is it Rosemary or Rosemary?
Rosemary.
Rosemary. Yeah, you were saying earlier, the education stuff, I think it was great, all the education that you guys put out, and notifications. I think, yeah, like to your point, I think it would just be all of that. Somehow creating more opportunities for that. I know myself, and I don't check the mail all the time, or just get thrown in the trash or whatever. So I think, you know, there's confusion because people don't read the sign.
Yeah, this is more, you know,
Always have that.
I think Mike has a comment.
Jump in, the water's warm.
I'd just like to mention, in terms of organics, we get a lot of questions about the compostable bags, if you put in the organic starters and where you go. But I want to let you guys know, effective January 1st, any of the bags that you get at the grocery store for your own fresh fruit and vegetables, those are all compostable bags. And those are all of them in January 1st. They tested it out this weekend. Costco, Sprouts, and Stater Brothers, all of them have those organic bags, so you don't have to necessarily pay for them anymore. Okay, those-
What's that, the vegetable, like the green ones?
Yeah, they're green shade, they're like shade of green.
Right.
2 weeks ago, they were clear, now they're all green.
How about the disposable ones that, I got some little ones and the bigger ones that break down, so those are good.
They have to be colored green and they'll say compostable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Great.
Thank you very much. Moving right along to the CRMR fiscal year 2023-2024 annual performance review.
thank you, Madam Chair. I want to bring Marissa back up and she's gonna give us a report.
So the next item we're looking at, as Scott just said, is the fiscal year 23-24 annual performance review for CRNR. So every year staff does evaluate CRNR's performance for contract compliance and performance satisfaction. We're looking at 63 categories and they're rated on a scale ranging from excellent, satisfactory, unsatisfactory, or not applicable. So for this last fiscal year, CRNR received 3 excellent ratings, 43 satisfactory ratings, 5 unsatisfactory ratings, and 12 items were not applicable during the review period. The 3 excellent ratings commend CRNR for superior service provided by their customer service designee, the HHW collection program, and the annual compost and food fence. The 5 unsatisfactory ratings identify unsatisfactory performance and need for improvements in the areas of hauler compensation data, monthly reporting, route reviews, liquidated damages, and missed pickups. All other categories were either satisfactory, meaning standards were met, or were not applicable during the review period. The staff report before you summarizes all of the categories and ratings, and then the actual performance review outlines each item in greater detail. I do want to make one correction to the staff report. The performance review will be presented to the board next week at the January 14th study session, not at the board meeting at the end of the month. So if you wanted to attend for that, it will be next week. This concludes my report, and I'm happy to answer any questions that you have.
Before we jump into the fray on all the questions I imagine that people have, can we actually pop the report open? So when people ask questions, we can go specifically to that section, because 5 unsatisfactories in comparison to 63 doesn't sound terrible. But, the kind of big categories when you read the definition of what it is that isn't happening. And, also, you know, it's satisfactory, unsatisfactory, excellent, satisfactory is like a C, how come we don't have more As? So, yeah, who would like to go first?
I know, as you've done.
She has a great question, so that'll get rid of a lot of mine.
Stimulants.
Thank you, Paul, here we go.
I have concerns about a few items. One, I think you had mentioned missed pickups. I've been seeing excessive missed pickups in my community. Coming at varying times, and honestly, I really feel like that's the crux of this service, like, that's the only reason we have CRNR, is like, pick up the stuff that we found and heard. So for me, that's a big deal, if it's not being done, to me, that's one of the biggest things. I've also experienced where I call for multi-item pickup, and they'll give me a date, and then they'll give me another date, like, oh, we said we'd pick it up tomorrow, but now it's gonna be a week and a half. Well, what was the recliner is already out on the curb, so it literally sat out there for 2 weeks until they came and picked it up. Same thing with HHW, so what I found in my home, my family is we're self-hauling, so we're paying for this service that's not really reliable. And so another metric that I'm really interested in is the response time, and I don't know if that goes into customer service. So if I call for, like, I think somewhere in here you noted how many savings item pickups there are. So say you have 500, okay, they were completed. From the call in time to when those bulk items were picked up, to me, that's an important metric, because if I put a recliner out for 2 weeks, in some neighborhoods, that's called dumping. I'm dumping on my neighborhood, and I'm making it look at it. It was, in my opinion, unacceptable. And I know I can call you and you're great, you'll make things happen for me, but I really feel like it should be a service that's standard for our entire community. So bulk items, HHW, and then of course, curbside pickup.
So for large items, we do ask that customers not place the items curbside until they're ready for collection.
Yeah, they told us that it would come they would come the next day, so we put it out. Just as
They
they,
called and they said we'll be there tomorrow.
Yeah.
to Pick up. Okay,
Yeah.
that's very unusual.
yeah, and then I thought it was outrageous, I thought that's impressive. And then they're like, oh no, it's gonna be a week and a half. So
I
I was
down
driving that.
about 2 weeks is the lead time on a large item collection. It could vary depending on how many requests are in, for that particular service day, but it's typically about 2 weeks. So for them, if people do be out tomorrow, it's very.
That's a long time, just, you know, if I go somewhere and I clear my new mattress or a new couch, right, so I need to get rid of the old couch, for me to wait for bulkhead and pickup for 2 weeks, that's not gonna happen. In my house, we'll just throw it in the truck and self-haul. But again, this is a service that we pay for, and honestly, I think with CRNR, it's like the only thing I'm paying them for, is like, I put stuff out on the curb and they pick it up, and, the understanding is like, every week I put my carts out, and every week on that day, there'll be service. And lately, especially since we have this third cart rolled out, it's not been happening. And, you know, randomly, just chatting with my neighbors, I mean, literally, they're talking about how, like, yeah, they really don't have this down right. And even neighbors that don't know that I come here sometimes to meet with the district are just really, I think it's hurt the district's reputation in how we do business and what the service is like. Because the cart should just sit out there for an extended period of time.
I can say that this particular performance review, Ms. Pickups was rated unsatisfactory. It is for last fiscal year, so any of the rollout, the service related to the rollout is not included in this evaluation, but I can say that we have seen an increase in Ms. Pickups with the rollout. And so we are aware of that, but they were rated unsatisfactory and some things that we will continue to address with them. Did you have any questions or other items that I can answer on?
I have a question, under the item on the report, the missed pickups. It initially, you guys thought it was one number based on the app. And then you found out later that there were all these calls that didn't get logged, that nobody was counting, that more than double the total number, like verbally. So I wanna know if that has been fixed. I wanna know, how app versus phone call misses are being handled. I know if people call the district, they get logged. But I'm not real confident that when CRNR gets called, that they're logged properly.
So if we could go to page 12, there is a chart that outlines the GoGov requests that we're receiving. And if we receive a phone call, we're logging it via GoGov for the customer.
Right.
And then that's distinguished between the call, missed call log that CRNR is keeping, so that's the 1,035. So through GoGov, we received 366. Their missed pickup call log is 1,035, and then they have an escalated log, so it's if it's not just a one-time miss, if it's escalated for some reason, it's happened multiple times, and the customer is especially upset, it goes on to the escalated log, and so the 1,035, that's the number that we were not aware of until this review period. And we are now receiving that on a monthly basis. But it is a significant difference between what we were receiving via GoGov only.
Oh, yeah, it's like 3 times the number. So, okay, so you guys are satisfied then that the pickup of not getting the calls logged appropriately, so you guys know when they're not coming directly to you, that sounds like that's been correct, correct?
Yeah, I can comment on that.
Please.
The way they were logged before, we were reporting complaints to Costa Mesa Sanitary District. We're not logging somebody who's reporting a missed pickup necessarily as a complaint. The escalated ones are, I'm really upset, you guys haven't done it again, that's logged, encoded as a complaint. If somebody calls in and reports a missed pickup, that's coded as an MITU or missed pickup. That's the newer report that we're sending in addition to the complaint.
So, I mean, whether it was missed and the person's nice about it, or they're pissed off, shouldn't it count equally? We can still the missed.
Again, it was.
Can it just
it was-
be like, that's still missed?
I think it
But
just
it's
comes
not,
down to,
let me clarify, the report that we're submitting is complaints.
Oh, okay,
It's not this pickup. They can be included in that. So now we're submitting this supplemental missed pickup report as well.
That's now happening. That's now happening.
Yes.
Oh.
I believe the missed pickups were always being logged. I think it came down to semantics on what the district was asking, and I guess what CRNR was understanding we were asking is, I guess, the best way I can understand why that information wasn't.
so is it all synced up now? Because I know before, and this was, and I wanna clarify it, like, I'm not beating you up. This has nothing to do with you, you work there and you're the liaison, but this, like, you're not the one making all this stuff happen. Like, this was going on long before you got there. But, like, for me, a huge sticking point for me, and I don't know if this has changed, is when an entire street had their pickup missed, I would take the time and I would go in the app and I would log every single address. But because one person logged it, 120 missed pickups were being logged as one. Which royally ticked me off, but that's just how you guys did it. So is that still happening? Because that to me is crazy. If an entire neighborhood is missed, for whatever reason, I know shit happens, like, you guys lost drivers, people get sick, like, I get all that, like, that happens, that's just real world. But for somebody to sit there and take the time to log them all, and you're like, oh, well, one person can complain, so it's one missed pickup, when it's 126 houses. what exactly are we counting?
Are you referring to CRNR's missed pickup log or to VOCA?
Go.
So if I have sufficient time to go through every request, I will. I don't always have time to look through all 306, because I need to read notes on everyone. So if I have time, I can certainly guarantee for the next review that that's included. But the number 366 is the number of VOCA missed pickup requests that are coming into the system for that year.
Well, yeah, then what I'm talking about was even before that year.
And two, you know, if one person calls, there might only be one complaint for that neighborhood, but CRNR knows how many, knows the truck that goes out, and knows how many cans they're tipping, because that whole neighborhood is missed. So those numbers exist, they're just not being reported, I think.
Because I mean, I know before I tried to report like a block, like the 2300 block of street. And the response I got from the person I talked to at CRNR was, you need to list every address because we don't know how many, you know, some streets are long, okay, I can appreciate that. And again, this isn't something that happened recently, this happened a while ago. But since we're talking about it and we're talking about a review and people already asked for, you know, increases and all these things, I may think it should be like, what exactly is it? Are we counting for missed pickups? Because I still think not everybody is on the same page. I don't know what that is.
Well, I just want to mention that, you know, we're going through a change where we're adding more carts and so on, and this change is going to happen growing pains, just like with any change that you have in our.
For sure.
I
Totally agree.
think there's some positive that I see here, and that's that there's a reduction of 31, almost 32% in complaints. I think that's a positive item. And I think that I see the proactive nature of the district in making things improve, it's required here, so.
I would agree with all of I don't disagree with any of what you just said, I agree.
So let me, here's our opportunity to be, if we got a complaint on Field app or Cornwall app saying that whole street's been missed. 20 homes has been missed. We got that information and we're gonna send our code enforcement officer to verify. And then he would confirm, he would go out home and confirm, yes, there are 12 homes, and then we could go, yes, 12, 20 missed collections, but we have to confirm that. So, you know, say the whole streets, well, let's go out and confirm and see if that's true, that's what we'll do. We send our code enforcement officer to confirm.
Wait, I have a question there. So if my trash, because I've never called, to say that my trash had not been picked up. I just leave my cart out there and wait. And then one day, CR comes around and cleans the whole neighborhood. So are you saying that somebody has called in and said, you know, everybody from this block to that block has called in? Or did just one person call in and say, hey, you know, they didn't come by today, and then the truck just comes through and starts looking for all our cans, because the whole neighborhood will leave their cart out there until they service it.
If one person calls in and says the whole neighborhood is confessed, then I would still sit on our code book, hey, just confirm us if they were going to miss here, because then I can go call that the CRNR and say, hey, look, we got a complaint that the whole neighborhood's been missed, we confirm this is true, go out there and pick up these homes. And then they'll do that.
Would you do the lesser amount? No?
What do you mean,
If
listener?
it was like just a few houses, would you send out? code
Yeah,
enforcement?
sure, it's a few houses.
So you're always gonna send out code enforcement,
Sure, yeah.
even for one house?
I don't give you one house, because that someone's coming to this town and believe that person's saying my house has been missed, okay, I believe you, I'm gonna go sit, I'm gonna call CNR and say, go pick it up.
Yeah,
So then, how is that counted if one person calls in, but say there's 40 of us who had the missed pickup, is it one missed pickup?
No, before you miss it, because the code enforcement confirmed it, always, he would count all the homes that have missed, and you can lock that down.
So only when you've confirmed that there's 40 people that have had their pickups missed, then you notify CRNR, and then they send the truck out.
No. It's one, we'll still call them out, but until we send the code enforcement officer. It's just a large number, right? And so we wanna make sure, why did CR miss all this home? What was the reason? We don't know. And so we, that's when I look at the investigation.
But I think there might be a more cost-effective approach, because I do think that CRNR has these numbers. They know if they tipped it on Monday, or if they came by on Wednesday.
Yeah.
So, you know, I know we're trying to figure out where these numbers are coming from, and you're sending your code enforcement officer out there to look and verify. We have these numbers, and it's more cost-effective, I think, to get it from the source on what they're doing and what they're doing it.
Any other questions about
I
that?
have a question, you mentioned liquidated damages,
Yes.
when you mentioned the liquidated damages, are you saying that they were assessed, so for what reason?
So we did present, I think, the damages, but I don't have the data in front of me for all of the categories of liquidated damages. Based on the report, I can tell you the amount.
I know there's an amount that, you know, wondering if they were assessed for any reason, it's like.
Yes, so the amount is listed and that amount is comprised of a number of categories.
Okay.
So we went through data for the entire year and then formulated a list of the items that were not satisfactory.
Did those liquid damages, was that an increase or a decrease or about the same?
It was the first time that we assessed
Oh, I see.
liquidated damages, yeah, so we'll know next year how it compares.
Thank you.
Any,
What liquidated damages means, I mean.
Sure, so it's basically associating a dollar amount, a fee or a fine, if you will, with contract compliance. So if contract compliance is not met for a category, there's a fee that's associated with that. For example, if so many misconduct are reported in a certain month, this dollar amount is associated with it, and then we add up all of those different categories for a total assessment.
wasn't it like $173,000 or something like that, that CRNR, do they give you a credit? Or they pay you for it, they just cut you a check, okay, yeah, it was like 173.
So does that include like damages that, you know, the crash trucks cause, like when, like I'll give you an example, I live in a community where they have to go through little alleys and everything. And once in a while, you'll get a truck leaking oil all the way through the thing, and in the last 4 years, they've had to come to my community twice to kind of, I had to call them up and say, hey, you know, you guys like leak oil everywhere, you guys clean it up. Is that?
Yeah, so we are tracking and assessing for items such
Yeah,
as.
and I'm sorry it happens, so, I guess it's pretty good for price in, you know, 4 years, it's pretty good. But it's just in my area, and I'm just curious, is how many more areas that, do they like notice that, hey, this starts leaking and we gotta do this, and so I'm sure if there's a return on investment in terms of making sure that the trucks are properly serviced, so it doesn't cause a lot of these damages.
Right, and that is also identified in the performance.
Yeah,
evaluation.
it's in this report, and if you guys haven't had a chance to read the whole thing, it's like 20 pages, but it's easy, and even if you just wanna read the sections that were flagged as unsatisfactory, it's pretty enlightening. And gives you a better idea with all the stuff that is tracked and all the stuff they do get charged back for and all of that. The only other question I had, and I think it was in here, it was at the beginning, I'm sorry, I didn't have time to go home and get my notes. It referred to an audit. Like you guys doing an audit of CRNR.
Dramatic audit,
And it
or-
just said that no audit was completed, so it
Oh.
was NA, so my question is there usually an audit completed? Or is an audit only prompted by something specific? And if an audit is usually completed, what was the reason not to complete it this time? It may be one of those things that you guys don't always audit. I don't know. It just said audit not done NA, so that was my only other question.
So when CRNR requests a rate adjustment, we will send our treasurer over to their offices and look at the books. And we want to determine what is their profit margin. And if their profit margin is significant, and we don't tell that to the boards, then what do you want to do? You know, this is how much money they made this time of year. You think you justify increasing the rate as they're proposing? What do you want to do? That information that our charge of paying is confidential, we don't share that with them, but it's just more, we share that with the board next little session meeting. But that's when we say the audit, you look at the books, they look at their profit margins. And see if their rate adjustment is paying or not.
Okay, because we always ask for the increase every single year, no matter what. So was the audit just not done at this point because they haven't asked for the increase yet?
We didn't, I can't remember why we didn't do it this past year. I think it was because they requested a rate adjustment in order to do a, Prop 218 hearing tied in with the rollout, so I don't know why we think, why we do the audit. But we will do one, next time they request adjustment.
Okay, so I think they can probably ask for it in March.
They have a time frame when they're supposed to, which is kind of, I think it's every February or April, they have a certain deadline when they have to submit it to us. And once they send us that letter and asking us what that adjustment is, then we send it further over with the books.
Okay. Okay, that was my only other question. Anyone else have any other questions, comments on this? I know it's kind of a dead horse and I do kick it from time to time and I apologize, but I'm gonna kick it a little more. It's, oh, my mind. Okay, go
No, I
ahead.
agree with that, what has been said previously, but again, I don't understand why they aren't all in the excellent column. I think that's what we should definitely strive for. And I had a question about the material that the new cans are made out of, because I noticed that in our neighborhood especially, I can only speak for our neighborhood because my husband comments on it every time we drive through the neighborhood on trash day. Trash cans are always on their side. They, out of the three, we're lucky if one of them is standing upright at the end of their paths. So I don't know if it's a
Is it
different.
your neighborhood or just everywhere?
In my entire, not just my street. Yours also? Yeah, so, I mean, I don't know if they just blow through there quickly and they slam back down and they fall, or the tops are heavier than the base of the can, or something, yeah, they're all, like I said, I have three of them, I'm happy if there's one or two of them that are upright and they go past. And it just makes it look really bad when you're driving through the neighborhood on trash day and there's, bad enough, you got two cans out and they're on the side, but then we got three at every single house, at least three, sometimes four, sometimes
We
five.
also have, one of the landfill ones we have is like kind of living, it's like a living. Just,
We get that, you can call CR and issue.
They'll replace it. Yeah, so
Yeah,
it's
that's
for you.
Yeah.
So, I'm sorry, go ahead.
I would just add, I think that has more to do with the driver moving too quickly and not staying still when he's putting the cart down, and that's the reason for it to be a little more than the material, so definitely let us know. Because we do report those to CRNR, so they can talk to that particular driver. And have a operations manager go out and observe and, do follow up with them, so definitely let us know. I'm seeing that in certain locations, or if it's certain parts, or if it's all the parts, let us know so we can address them to CRNR.
And then I completely agree with on the excellence, those are all, those are two areas that I thought they did an excellent job, but I just think that if I brought this report card home, I would be grounded. So I don't know, I don't think it's, I think we should start with it.
Anybody else? Yeah, there are a lot of good things being done, but there's room for improvement for everything. And every single one of us and every single day in our life, nobody's perfect, but we need some improvement there for sure.
Just real quick, there, just to remind myself, the metric assigned with each of these ratings that we have that says excellent, satisfactory, unsatisfactory, but the actual metric itself, is that in the contract?
The actual,
The metrics.
yeah, so it's looking at the language in the contract,
Okay.
and then if they're meeting that specific contract language, yes.
And also as a closing, more positive comment. There were a lot less unsatisfactories this time around than there was the year before. The year before, I think there were way more. For like different things.
I think there were two, unless my notes are incorrect, I think there were two unsatisfactory and two excellent from last performance review, and then the rest was satisfactory.
Like the,
Maybe even a year before.
it might have been year before, truck signage, there was a 1 year that there was a lot of stuff, I don't know where.
Last year it was large item and community outreach, those were the two unsatisfactory.
Oh, okay, so then, yeah. Okay, onward and upward. Number 5 is review proposed adjustments, fixture and plan check, keeping recommend for adoption, strategic goal number.
Yeah, thank you, Madam Chair. There's really nothing to really report. This is more just an FYI, because when you adopted your work plan for the 2025-2026, on your work plan, tonight, we're hoping to present to you the consultant's findings of the Fisher Peak study. Unfortunately, the consultant's still working on the study, it's not ready, but we can have it ready for your review and comment and action.
Okay, that brings us to closing item, except for does anybody have any closing comments? Any comments? More comments?
Next question.
Good comments allowed.
I was wondering how the Thanksgiving Day turkey oil
Take back.
worked out, how'd that go?
It went well. I don't, in fact, we just picked up the grease fast today. One of them was almost full, the other was half full. I don't have a total quantity, so it's because as soon as I get them, I'll share with you, but it definitely was better than last year. It was good.
So I just go to my ways at the yard there, and the guys were like so helpful. Like they were like, oh, hey, let me take out your car for you, because like they obviously they don't want you to make a mess. I'm like looking at the thing, like, oh, tell it, but they're very nice, very helpful. They told me a funny anecdote about the gentleman who brought like 50 gallons or something like that.
So we're storing reasonable.
Yeah, but they were very nice, very helpful. I thought it was great. So if you guys get a chance to do it, this like such expensive to buy, and I thought cheap.
We want to get ahead of ourselves, but hopefully we'll have, right, some good news about the OC Recycling Center coming in.
So did you know that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, you wanna?
Well, yeah, the better of it, but I'll just say so that you can give the idea of time, anticipated time means the OC Recycling has been certified to operate the OCC Recycling Center, so now they're just working on being ready to reopen and they anticipate the time.
Well, I don't want to thank my share for staying on top of Cal Recycle or all know Cal Recycle and where the application is at. So OC Recycling is the third party vendor that's going to be operating the Orange Coast College Recycling Center. And as Vice Chair Phil just mentioned that Cal Recycle just certified their application in December. So I reached out to OC Recycling and they're believing about 10 to 14 days, if you don't know, hopefully. I'm hoping, so we're having a liaison meeting here at CMP on January
24th.
24th. So the liaison meeting is elected officials between our district, City Costa Mesa, Mesa Water District, and the Newport Mesa Unified School District. Hopefully, at that meeting, we'll be able to relate to the elected officials into the public, but there'll be an open date. So we're hoping the first, we can get pretty real soon.
Excellent, and I hope all of the entities you just mentioned are equally proactive in getting the word out that it is open again, since it has been closed for so long. And for those of you that haven't been here as long as I have, I would just like to point out that Mike Carey used to be in charge of the recycling center at OCC, and it ran like a fine oiled, beautiful platinum glazed machine, and when we left, the wheels came off the bus and the place shut down. So I'm thrilled to find out that it finally is opening up. So for all the gut punches I gave you on the CR&R stuff, I gave you a little all true. All true, that's great news. Are there any events coming up that the district?
Just a quick comment, just want to kind of glance down my phone and, on the neighborhood app, and we were just talking about mostly recycling, and so I'm just letting you know that it's getting talked about that way.
Okay.
On the, so it's
always up. Okay, good.
Are there any events coming up that the district is participating in that might be of interest to anybody here?
Not yet.
To volunteer or go to?
Not yet, Madam Chair, but as they do come up, we will seek volunteer opportunities for them.
That's- And then my last question, I guess, is just for you guys. I don't know if anybody's in the district or anybody from CRNR, I know CRNR has like so many cities and so many places that they deal with. But, on public social media sites like Costa Mesa Buzz, Costa Mesa Public Square, I don't know, there's a bunch of them. There's been a lot of discussions about carts and questions and complaints, and whenever I see them, I try to say something, but I'm just like some average schmo as far as they're concerned. Would there ever be a time that would be appropriate or that it could possibly be helpful to have somebody from your staff just kind of look through some of the stuff as it relates to the new 3-cart system or issues that people are having? And not even, I mean, in some situations, I think it would be super helpful for the district to respond directly on that platform, so all the people will see it. I think that might be helpful in getting people to kind of change their mindset and get the word out to people faster, because for some reason, people have a problem when they go to social media and bitch about it, as opposed to calling the entity that can help them. And I don't want to give anyone bad habits to make them lazy, thinking that if they go on social media and complain, it will get addressed. But for some of the information, for educational purposes, on the 3-cart system, I think it might be helpful, so I just want to
Okay,
mention
thank
that.
you, yes.
Anybody else, committee comments?
Madam, I do
Staff
have a comment.
comments?
CAC members, we have 2, 3, 4, 5 seats coming available this year. We have 5 terms that are ending, and those would be for committee members Jeff Arbor, Cindy Brenneman, Dean Fisher, Ben Glassman, and Chair Sue Lester. So we encourage you to reapply. Applications will be open again come February, and then the board will review and appoint in March. So if you or anyone else that you would like to encourage to apply, we would be happy to provide that to the board.
Thank you for that reminder, and if you guys know anybody that might be interested, just tell them if you don't want to come back. You know, we do want to come back. Sure.
We know your time is precious, and so we greatly appreciate you volunteering an hour and a half of your time every other month. Give us your comments, suggestions on our items, and front of your comments and suggestions are greatly valued by staff, and as well by the board of directors. And so we want to show a small token of our appreciation by giving you the small gift, which is a tumbler with the CST logo on it. So please enjoy that. And it's also a nice card that's signed by all the board of directors. Thank you for your service. So thank you very much. Really appreciate it.
Thank you. And then going forward, maybe, I don't know if this is a carrot you can dangle out there to people, like appropriate, but I remember when the CAC first started, we were all given the opportunity to tour the CRNR plant and the landfill and the water district and the sand district and all those things, which made it not only more interesting, but it was super educational in terms of actually getting people up and running and getting them a lot of information about what happened. And I know that got suspended during COVID, like everything got suspended. But I didn't know moving forward if there would be an opportunity to invite people on the CAC to be able to visit those places, if that was something, in fact, that they were interested in, obviously, a non-starter. I didn't know if that would be something going forward that would be possible. I know we have a new director, and the directors usually try to do all that stuff to get kind of up and running, is that
Yeah,
something
we
that's
can,
possible,
sure.
or?
Sure, I'll talk to my staff, we can look, talk about, we do this, and I know it's a lot of work during the day, so if you take time off of work and do that, that'd be great, but we can discuss it, and share anything, not options.
Okay,
So I'm gonna speak up on behalf of Orange County Sanitation District, at the same time, while there are two guys. If you guys want to be part of a tour, I'm happy to give you a tour. It's an absolute phenomenal tour.
it is.
We are not the biggest wastewater treatment facility in the world, but we are definitely the best.
I love it. I love it.
So I love it.
I can back it up.
I think.
People in the back. Come on, dude.
You have a time that produces drinking water. So and it's just a matter of time until someone else make more, with just constricted by our population. But also we've been talking about the anaerobic digesters. Orange County Sanitation District have been doing that for years now. And so we produce our own power just from the same principle that was being mentioned here before. So we do anaerobic digestion to produce methane gas, and that's being used for producing over 12 megawatts of power every day. So we're almost energy independent. It's a great tour, and I would also encourage you to go ahead and see also the Orange County Water District, what they do. So I'll work with your staff, yeah, like,
Cause there are, the tours of those facilities, is like all the facilities are absolutely incredible. The stuff that you guys do there, people just have no clue, and it's extremely enlightening and helpful, I think, to even, somebody on board like.
15 years on a bike path.
Yeah.
So anytime you guys see the domes, those domes are the anaerobic digesters. So it's just. And so we have a facility on Euclid, by the 405, we also have a facility by Brokers, PCH.
Excellent, thank you. With that, our next meeting is March 12th, you have the date?
It is March,
And
yes,
everybody,
March 12th.
please reapply for your seat for then, weekly, no force involved. And
Please.
go ahead and adjourn me, thank you, everybody. For
Yeah.
and thank you for the very nice.
Yay. Happy New Year.